people starting to join us. So, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm here with a very special guest, Tiaga Prem, and we have. Did I botch it?
No, you did it great. It just sounds weird hearing you say that.
I know. Um,
You can call me what you like. I have a spiritual name that's Tiaga Prem, and most people know that. But I'll tell you a good story to start it off with the name thing. I was teaching at the Okanagan Yoga Festival, and when we went to the Okanagan Yoga Fest to check into the hotel, the name is under Tiaga Prem, which is the name I teach under. But the name on my license is the name that you gave me, which is Ryan. And as I was growing up, I had a nickname Reno, which is what my partner calls me. And then all the students call me Tiaga Prem. So when I get to the desk to check in, I don't have any ID that says Tiaga Prem. And my 5-year-old daughter says to the desk clerk, "My dad has 3 names. It's no big deal." So I'm all of those things. So Tiaga Prem, if you want to find me for any of the teachings, but if you slip up, I won't hold it against you.
Yay. Okay, well, we got that started. Oh, and oh my gosh, I hope that you're just still gathering your coffee. I had one of those nights where I spent, several hours thinking about things and getting organized in my mind. And, come about 45 minutes ago, I was still resting quite well. So we're catching up here. And like I say, I'm so happy that we can have this time together. We can talk. You've got your coffee. Um, and so we're gonna go ahead and talk about, and you will notice, yes, I will use the name often that I gave my son, because I have practice doing it. So we were talking about lots of things, and you had questions for me, and I have some questions for you. And so we were driving yesterday, a couple days ago, to Canmore, and we started talking about the fact that the question people have of, why couldn't I have done it better? Oh my gosh, it's October. I didn't complete all the things that I thought I would complete. The other big one that comes up for me that I hear people asking me as a life coach and prosperity coach is, um, why do I keep getting into the same bad relationship? And you had some answers to some of those that I love the answer. I totally agree with. It was just brought out in a really different way.
So the big thing that we discussed is this concept as of resistance as teacher. And the important thing to recognize is we've got it in our minds that we've got to think positive and things have to go right all the time. And if they don't, then we feel like we are somehow less than, or we're not successful in the life or the path that we've chosen. And it's just not true. The simple fact is the way the world works is it works in duality. There's positive and negative, there's blessings, and there's also challenges. And we talk about in the yoga tradition this idea of the sage being able to see the challenge and the solution at the same time. And what that means is that imagine if you were to pray every day that it would just be summer all the time and you lived in Calgary. It would be absurd. Winter is going to come eventually. And when you treat your life like that, it causes a lot of resistance. And actually, that resistance is a teacher. It's a reminder that's taking you to you. So for a good friend of mine, Danielle Laporte, she says, the missteps of your life are even leading you to you. And I've had that experience. You think about it with addiction and people who are struggling with alcohol or drug abuse. In the beginning, when they start developing some patterns that are negative patterns that are harmful, they hear a slight whisper inside of the mind that says, maybe you shouldn't do this. And they ignore the whisper and then they continue with the pattern, and then they have maybe they get into some trouble with relationships, or maybe they get into trouble with the law, or maybe they lose their job, or maybe there's all of these things
Yeah.
that show up as resistance to correct the person, and maybe they still don't get it. And then eventually the resistance shows up to give the severe lesson, which in recovery they call hitting rock bottom. And while you're experiencing that, I'm not saying that it's pleasant or you should go seeking that in any way, but the reminder is that that resistance is coming to correct you. And it's leading you to you, because the analogy that I love to use is that if you think of when children are born, their value is infinite value. There's no price tag that you can put on them. So over 7 billion people in the world were all born with infinite value. And then somehow you forget along the way about your infinite value. You think you're not beautiful enough. You think you don't deserve enough. You think you don't, deserve to be happy. You think if you had more, you'd be happy. You think all of these things, when really your starting point, your blank canvas, is infinite value. And so all of these difficult lessons that show up is resistance as a teacher guiding you back to your infinite worth. And the idea is eventually you get it. And over time, you become so in tune with your inner teacher that you catch the lessons at the whisper. You don't wait till the rock bottom or
Or
the
the brick
slap in
hits
the
you.
head or, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. What do you think about there's the lessons, and I love it that it's resistance training. And hey, I've done some resistance training.
Yeah, we
I've
all
gotten
have.
strong. Um, what about those who find themselves constantly sabotaging? Are they still in the middle of resistance training, or are they just avoiding awakening to learn?
No, it's always resistance. Whether you're listening to the teacher or not is up to you, and that's when the lessons become more severe. I mean, there is such a thing as, people check out and they just continue with the behavior because they're ignoring it.
Right.
And but you know what? Eventually, it is going to show up. And for us in the yogic tradition, we say that you have 84,000 lifetimes to get it right. So it's up to you if you want to spend this whole lifetime screwing up. But that means you got to do the math, right?
Right.
83,999 or whatever it might be. And a teacher from our yoga lineage of Kundalini Yoga, he said, it doesn't matter if you believe in reincarnation, it happens anyway.
That's good. I guess, this is a whole other topic
Yeah, right.
that we can get into. And, as you're driving along in the car, there you are, and the topics come up more and more. Um, I've got my phone situated a little bit further away, and I'm not seeing some of the comments. So I might just go up close in a couple minutes.
Yeah, you have to sneak over there because even I can't see it.
Okay, come on closer. Oh, we got a whole bunch of good morning. So good to see you. I don't see any big questions there, so we're gonna keep chatting about this. Um,
If you have questions, write them in capital letters, and then maybe even my good eyes on the end here can see them.
I can usually see. Um, so we talked about resistance training, and I think that we're in a time. You really are seeing your leadership in the yoga world and people opening up. I see my time in people who are either in network marketing or living their small business, or they've come to the point where they want to find out what their true passions are and they're ready to live their most passion filled life. I feel like in our whole universe, we're opening more and more to that. Is it just because I'm in it and I love being there, and that's what I love the very most is when I see people just ignite and are open to being inspired to live their most passion filled life, or are we living in a different day? Is it really happening?
Yeah, well, both are happening. There's always the nature of a polarity planet is that there's going to be people who are getting the lessons from resistance, and there's going to be people who are catching it at the whisper. And the interesting thing to think about here is that there isn't any separateness. All the people are one organism, like
Right.
cells in your body. And so the idea is when you get open to prosperity, when you get open to living your purpose, when you get open to living as the best version of you, you start to be like a lighthouse and inspire the other cells around you. And the same can happen is if you let resistance overcome you, then that also influences the collective. So it's all happening. you know, and your personal responsibility to the collective is to heal yourself, to make yourself open, to make yourself loving, to take care and to listen to your inner voice. And that's going to influence the world around you. And what happens is, if you don't step into that and you start feeling like you're in the stress current, or you can't get out of your circumstances, or you're okay with the status quo, your vibration is low, and then other people's vibration starts to vibrate with you. It's like sympathetic sound or something like that, like sympathetic vibration. Have you ever been in the room with a big gong and you make a sound on the other side of the room? The gong will vibrate the sound, and everything is vibration and sound in the world where we live. We were listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza the other day, and he was talking about energy and matter, and that's exactly what we are. The matter is the dense stuff, the bones and the skin and the muscles, and it's also your emotions and your thoughts, and even your personality is the matter. But the energetic field is the infinite value that you came into this world with, the part that stays with you while all of this matter is changing, your thoughts and your emotions and your body and all of these things. And so the idea is, the more you can get in touch with that energetic field, that infinite source, you can call it God, your soul, whatever makes sense to you, unconditional love, doesn't really matter of the belief system you connect to it, as long as you understand that it's infinite and it's your identity. If you can get in touch with that and put your footprint into that energetic field, it's going to expand out through the matter, and it's going to influence through that sympathetic vibration all the other matter, because that other matter, all those other people and other beings, they have the energetic field, the infinite within them, But if you identify more with the matter, you get depressed because you don't like the way you look, or you feel like you'll be validated if somebody likes you, or if you get that job, or whatever it might be. If you know who you are, you start to attract all of those things that you want. If you don't know who you are, you just feel stuck, like your circumstances define you.
Absolutely. One of the other things that I'd really like to share with all of us having coffee this morning is we talked about it doesn't matter, on the subject of matter, it doesn't matter your age, how much financial abundance you have, how much financial abundance you don't have. Can we touch on that?
Yeah, we can touch on that. I like the word security to describe it.
Yeah.
So if security, it's like self-awareness. If you know who you are, and I'm talking about this infinite worth that you're born with, if you know who you are, then it won't really matter. Like, take this example. You could have a 6-figure income, look good on paper, have a nice car and a beautiful home and a nice looking family, and be completely insecure. You could have all of those things and be fully secure. You could have no material things and live a very simple, basic life as far as matter is concerned and be secure. You could also have no things and be insecure. So the common theme here is that it's not really about the matter. It's not about the things. It's not saying don't have the things. It's saying know who you are in relationship to the things, and you'll be prosperous. If you could have a bunch of stuff and not have any prosperity. Prosperity, the word prosperity means pro-spirit. That's what it means. It means to live a life in favor of the best version of you. And if you live a life in favor of the best version of you, you could pass through the most intense challenges, the most intense adversity. And it's not saying you would just waltz through it like it's no big deal. You would feel the pressure, but underneath the pressure, you would know who you are. And that's a great leader. A great leader can show up. If I'm with my child and there's a scary situation that we're in, and I panic and freak out, am I doing a good job as a leader to her? I need to hold the space. I might be scared shitless inside, but I hold the space as the leader, and that comes from security, and that comes from knowing who you are. And during these times, as you're talking about, is this real? Like, are we all getting open? These times call for leaders who are able to show up and be secure, even in the face of people who are really feeling the pressure of the resistance teacher, or we call it the Saturn teacher.
Right, right. No, I like that. That makes good sense. And I smile because he told me a funny joke around that. But I won't. We won't go there. That
We'll
was
save it for next one.
that was really travel time. One of the things that comes to mind, and I want to share with all of you, a lot of you are here because you saw the invite. I might have invited you because I know that you're the kind of person that I love your energy and I love to be around. And I wanted to add to this right now, it really makes a difference that you continue to fill your mind with greatness, because what we put in, if we are always in constant negative news, which is CNN, little bit, got to know what's going on in the world. But if we're constantly taking in that negative energy, you're going to start to feel fatigued and dragged down, etc. It is important, I believe, right now that we absorb, that we learn, that we watch the energy that we're around. If you're around someone that's always, the glass is half full, always dragging you down, shift the people that you're around, because your creativity is not going to be where it could be. So no matter what you're doing, to a lot of people that I know, if you're in sales of anything, but most things are sales. It's called sharing what you do.
Right.
And it's a really positive, great thing, because if I hide everything that I do, no one will know. No one can benefit because I'm being very selfish. But if you're just helping Char to get back in the chair here, if you're in a place where you are being generous, not being pushy, that's a difference, because then there's people in sales that are pushy and I don't want to hear about it right now. But being generous with the information that you've gathered, and being generous with that energy that you have that is loving and fun and it's spreading. Share that with the people around you. One of the other things, Rye, that I teach at our coming up workshop for the Sisterhood Starting Over is, who are the top 6 people that are closest to you? You will absorb their energy. So choose carefully.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too. I mean, people can relate to this whether you have a yoga practice or not, and that yoga means oneness with the infinite. It means oneness with the best version of yourself, and there's many practices to do that. And we think that yoga means stretching. It doesn't. So if you're watching this and you're avoiding yoga because you think it means that you have to be flexible, knock it off. But it means connecting to the best version of yourself. And one of the practices is called Sangit. And Sangit means surround yourself with people who inspire you.
Love it.
And that will lead to yoga.
Love it.
Connect you to the best version of yourself.
Love it. Let me ask you this. Some of us have been working together. We've got some experts. You may be on the line. And again, the way I have the camera set up, I can't tell if you're on the line or not. But some of you are really becoming very wise in your information about ageless living. You have a teacher that talked to you about ageless living, and I love it.
Yeah, we have this teacher, Guru Singh. If you're interested in, he's got a podcast. You can look it up on iTunes, Guru Singh podcast, and he shares a lot of his teachings. And he's a dear friend of ours in LA. He teaches at Yoga West and has been a yoga teacher to a lot of interesting people in LA, like the singer Seal and the actress Carrie Ann Moss, and all of these people found their way to Guru Singh. He had a writing credit in the movie The Matrix and Bruce Almighty, and he's quite a character. We love him. But he's 72 years old, and he's often saying 45 years old is not the time that you have a midlife crisis. He said, you should be having a midlife crisis at my age, at 72. The human body should live to 130, 140 years old. And he has he's living proof of that. And you just need to care for the body properly and have a great quality of life and learn your relationship to stress. And what a yogi is able to do is recognize that you're going to have stress. Stress is part of nature. But you create a relationship with yourself where you define how much stress passes through the body. He said, death is a habit. You should break it. And so you just start to explore, like, what brings more health and what brings more vitality. Excuse me. I've been a little under the weather for a couple days here.
Have some more coffee.
It's funny that that's coming. I've got a frog in my throat while I'm talking about that. But yeah, and when I get, and that's goes to the point that you're saying, like the company that you have, because it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of we've got a 5-year-old, we've got a business, we're involved in the community, I work a lot one-on-one doing spiritual counseling with students, so I'm constantly going, and what happens is I start to feel stress and I forget, and then I spend time with the Sangit, as we said, or you spend time with the people who inspire you, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I lost sight of who I was in relationship to the experiences that I was having. And if I didn't have people like that in my life, I may just get wrapped up. It's like the drift in the current. If you've ever been swimming in the ocean and then all of a sudden the shore is getting further and further away and you think, uh-oh, we've got a problem here. That's what stress is like if you don't create a container that can hold it through your diet, through breathing practices, through the very, very, very essential, not to be skipped practice of meditation, through keeping good, healthy relationships. There are so many practices that. And you really struck a chord with the word open, because that's what it's about. It's, as you age, keeping your mind open, keeping your body open, and not closing down. And I'll share one last thing about Guru Singh and openness, and that he says, bodies don't get stiff with age, attitudes do. And when the attitude becomes stiff, the body follows. And I think that's true. I found that the times when I'm really fixated on a belief system, or I'm really fixated on my expectations or trying to control something, I close down. And it isn't go with the flow. Our teacher Yogi Bhajan would say, go with the flow is a dead fish. You still put effort and you still press and you still work, but you also pay attention as you do it. The idea is to be moving quickly on the surface, and then underneath it, the primary practice is patience and listening, watching.
I love that. We should have some thumbs up to that, you guys. Yeah, every time I see Go With The Flow, I'm going to picture a dead fish now. Absolutely. I want to commend all of you who are constantly doing growth. And hey, thank you. And the other thing, when you say that, as some of you know, I align myself, because my background and my present is in coaching, a lot of ageless living. Let me call it that, ageless living, and looking after the body, and how we nutrient the body matters. And there's some of you on here that you are just, such experts at that. Keep sharing that. That matters, because all you got to do is get knocked out of the game for a few days, and you appreciate it more.
Yeah, right.
And so I love it. The other thing I want to share with that is, I'm so blessed to have a large group of friends in Panama City, in an area called Casco Viejo. And it's the first place in my entire life that I have experienced ageless living. That not once do I think, oh, I wonder how old they are or what they do. I find myself thinking, oh, I wonder who they are, what their story is, how they got here. And living and experiencing that is more all about them. And that has been what has made me fall in love with that area, is the people that gather from around the world. And it's all about what you're bringing to the circle of friendship. And I really would love us to spread that worldwide. I love that.
And I think it's important to note, as you say, on the positive side of that, is you're noticing the people for who they are. And I noticed the other day when we stopped to get some things before we went out to teach my courses in Canmore, We stopped to give some food to a young guy who was sitting on the corner in the cold, and he had a story about how he ended up there, and we sort of chatted about, I wonder if that story is true. And that was the part of that what you're sharing, where it's like, what does this person do, looking at them on the surface. And we decided that it doesn't really matter if the story is true or not. You see somebody in the cold, you see somebody who's hungry, you feed them, because you see past the surface. You see past the lies, you see past the pain, you see past the story, and you see underneath who that person is, and they're the same as you. And that's how you start to heal the cells. That's how you heal the cells of the body. You let the bright, healthy cells radiate out as much as possible.
Absolutely. You know what really helped create that situation was I have a mastermind group full of women that I absolutely adore, and one of our homework exercises that I'd given, so whenever I give a homework exercise, I take it on as well, is every day we have to do a random act of kindness. And I challenge everyone, do it for a week. So every day you're looking around. Oh, I have to tell you one funny story before we go.
Okay.
You're looking around and you're thinking, who can I make a difference? How can I make a difference in their life? How can I give? How can I do something? And we were actually having coffee at Good Earth, and so I'm like, okay, gotta start. I'm a day behind. I didn't get my homework done yesterday. How can I expect my students to do it when I'm not doing it? So I got it. So I saw this guy over in the corner, kind of disheveled, etc. And I said, hey, I think I'm going to go and buy that guy lunch. I'm just going to send it over. And you said, maybe you better hold off on that. I'm not sure that he needs your help.
Well, sometimes you just don't. It's good to feed people, but you don't want to send the wrong message to somebody who's
So
just having a rough morning.
that was it. He was just disheveled. That's all. Probably my story I then made up was probably just, a bachelor that's just in a mess. No, just kidding. Anyhow, that was kind of fun. But back to the young man sitting on the street corner. Good for him. He sat right by Starbucks. And so, but I did feel like, and it's a metaphor, he didn't have to go through the work to make up the story. I was still going to gift him. I was still going to do what I planned on doing. The story's not necessary. So I challenge all of us to just show up in full integrity. I love integrity. And you're going to find with me, some of you know me, some of you I'm going to see in a couple of weeks in Puerto Vallarta. Woo-hoo, I leave tomorrow. And you're going to find with me, there's no story. It's just what it is. I love that we can collaborate and come together and grow and make a difference in our world. Someone said to heart, thank you. Love that. This is a really busy time that we're going into in our life, really worldwide. And I want to encourage everyone, and add your words to this, I want to encourage everyone to really be present, to be present in conscious living, and ask every day, how can I make a difference? How can I love more? How can I love me more? How can I expand my energy? If you're going out the door and you're really in a grumpy, awful mood, go back in. Don't take that outside.
Have a redo.
So, just be conscious. And I love it. I love it when I get to start the morning with special friends. And like I say, some of you I'm going to see in a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited. And anything else you want to add to conscious living?
Yeah, I thought about, even with the comment about the young man and the story, I think that this is a story that happens in the collective consciousness for all sorts of people in all walks of life, where they feel like they're caught up in this idea of self-improvement, that you have to somehow improve yourself and be better. And if you feel like you can't do that, you've got to sell yourself. That's ultimately what it is. Whether you're the guy who's has nothing to eat, or whether you're somebody who feels like a relationship outside of yourself is going to validate you, or some food outside of yourself is going to validate you, or some drug outside of yourself is going to validate you, or whatever it is. That's all driven by self-improvement. And I think that during this time, the most key and most important thing to focus on rather than self-improvement is self-love, because self-improvement is a dog chasing its tail, and unless it's a very, very clever dog, it will never catch its tail. And self-love is the recognition that you were born with infinite worth, you've had it your whole life, and it really doesn't matter about your conditions. And it's great to take care of your body, it's extremely important, but you have a destiny, and your destiny is to align with yourself, and your destiny is not to lose a pant size. If you lose a pant size while living your destiny, great, good for you. But nobody was born for that. You were born for greatness. And as you step into that greatness, you'll be able to do all of these things in health and wellness, where you'll be able to have a more fit body. But you'll do it from a place of self-love. You won't do it from a place of neuroses, or that something outside of you is going to make you happy, because the only person who will give you the authority to be happy, to be healthy, to be holy is you.
I totally agree, and that's what happens because often it's in that not loving of ourselves. If I don't want to use myself, let's just make a false person here. If they're not caring about themselves, they're putting a whole bunch of crap and junk, etc., into their body, and then what goes in comes out. It's just how it is. Um, Same thing. So as I love myself more, as you love yourself more, you grow. You find yourself around people that are growing. You find yourself learning the growth. Um, and just when I say busy times, conscious living, I just want to do a big thank you out to, I travel the world a lot, and we were with we were with a friend of yours, Sarah, in Canmore. Love, love, love her. Haven't seen her for 20 years. What fun was that? But to see this woman with great, phenomenal energy, who I used to be the mom taking her to soccer practice, and now, this many years later, as we went on a similar journey, we just began a great friendship. I love that. And so, in saying that to everyone we meet around the world, I am just so grateful for my friends. I spent time in Calgary. Love my friends here that I've been able to reconnect, and you know exactly who you are. So I've reconnected with you. I love it. Going to Puerto Vallarta, oh my gosh, Rhonda's there, and Nina's there, and Susan's there, and Daniel's there, and there's so many people. Can't wait. See, you're there. I'm so excited to see so many of my friends from the roots that I put down there. At the same time, I get to go to Panama after that and see my new friends. And what they all have in common is the ones that have stayed there. Like, they're the core of my friends. Full on integrity, full on love, energy that I just love, coffee times that go on forever. So I want to thank all of you for having coffee with us. We're going to be doing this every Monday morning. Next Monday morning, going to have coffee from Puerto Vallarta on the balcony. And let's see who I can gather there.
Do you want to go and check and see if you have any comments before you sign off?
I do.
Or,
Sorry, coming up close and personal.
extreme close up. You can probably scroll with your finger.
Okay, how about this? I am going to personally answer any questions at the end of this FaceTime Live. And you'll all get to see the answers and the questions. I think that will work because I don't see any questions. Lots of great wishes.
Cool.
And love you guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for tuning in. Nice to meet everybody. If you like to hear more about these teachings that I share, you can always, I do a lot of my work on Instagram, and the name is Tiaga Prem, Tiagaprem. And also I have a regular teaching platform that I use. I have a show called Revealing the Diamond. It's all about self-love and infinite worth, and you can get that on iTunes and get all of the teachings that I share for free. You just go on iTunes podcasts, search Revealing the Diamond. You can listen to them in your car or on your phone or wherever you are. So thanks a lot for having
Awesome.
me.
Oh, and you're in Calgary for a few
Oh
days.
yeah, I'm in Calgary. If you're here, I have a 3-day course called Aquarian Luminosity, which is about leadership during challenging times, and that's a 3-day training from Wednesday to Friday. And then I have a workshop at Junction 9 in Inglewood on Sunday, which is a workshop on trust and worthiness, which I think is a really important thing to discuss during these times as well. So that's on Sunday evening.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Bye, everybody. Go refill your coffee. Have a